So the title of my talk today is What Happens When You Let Go? What happens when you let go? Heather answered that question. Undone. Now, as I was putting this together, when you let go, you get undone. Now, there is a difference between coming undone and getting undone. Okay? Follow me here. How many of you have ever come undone? I've watched some of you do it. I've watched myself do it. But there's a difference between coming undone and getting undone, or being undone. And I know, because I've had both of them going on all week. Coming undone, and then being in the state of being undone. And understanding those two is really, really, really paramount. She has a lyric in there that says, "If my eyes could see the fire that consumes me. If my eyes could see the fire that consumes me." Ernest Holmes talks about the fire in the belly. And he talks about passion, and that's God. But there's also fire in the mind. Your mind is just a big ball of fire, just waiting for you to catch on to it and allow it to take you. Allow it to make you undone. And so this idea of undone all week as I've been going through it, it's really served me to understand that, as Ernest Holmes said in the seminar lectures, you know, the whole thing about the absolute and the relative that we've taught forever. There's the absolute, there's the divine. How many of you have ever said, "I'm a spiritual being having a human experience"? You can tell by the way I said it that I'm mocking that. And I do a little bit. Because you know what? We got to stop being spiritual beings having human experiences. Or human beings having spiritual experiences. How about just being a spiritual being having a spiritual experience, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not, based on whatever choice you have made to bring you that experience. So this whole idea of fire in the belly, fire in the mind, your mind is the most valuable, the most powerful tool you will ever, ever, ever use or have to use. Your mind does everything for you. Your mind creates everything in your life. It is this ball of fire. It is this energy. That's what your mind is. So this month was all about let it go and then let it rip. Let it go, and Ellen, brilliant talk. Thank you so much. You helped me so much just listening to you. Letting go of all the crap and then letting it rip, which is really what this song is all about. Letting it rip. Let it go, let it rip. But you know what? You got to stay conscious during it. That's the real trick to this whole science of mind. You have to be conscious. You have to be willing to stay awake. You know, as the Buddhist quote, you know, once you wake up, don't go back to sleep. Because I think that's Rumi. Well, it's somebody very profound. It's James Mellon. I wrote that. You have to stay conscious. I mean, you got to let go of the crap. I get that. Just let go of what no longer serves you. Let go of that. And then you do need to let it rip, which means let it come out, as you just watched her do. All of that. But stay conscious as it happens. The deal with coming undone is feeling that there is something bigger than you that's taking control of you, and you can't help it. And it makes you come undone. You fall into pieces. How many of you have ever fallen into pieces because of some event that happened in your life? You just fall apart. You come undone. Well, even when that happens, you still are who you were before it happened, which is the divine creative energy in motion. That's the truth. And you can even come undone. And in the end, you will still be allowing that fire in you to undo you. But if you stay conscious, if you stay awake, if you stay focused, if you really pay attention to what's going on, then you can allow Spirit to undo you. You can become undone by letting Spirit take you where it needs to take you. And sometimes it's a little scary, isn't it? How many of you have had scary experiences in your life? You have a choice when that happens. You can get scared, give into it, come undone, or you can stay awake and say, I don't know why this is happening, but it's here, and therefore there's something for me in this. And I will allow it to undo me, but I will stay awake, I will stay conscious, and I will pay attention to whatever that is. So there's some beautiful lyrics in this song. I need to know, this lyric blows my mind. I need to know the unapproachable. Only Heather could write that lyric. I want to know the unapproachable, the things that I'm afraid to approach. I want to know the things that I'm afraid of. You know, I am very emotional about leaving this building, but the truth is, I don't want to leave this building with all of this emotion untapped. I want to know what this feels like, and clearly I am feeling it. And I want to know what it's all about, because it's all part of my constant divine evolution, which you cannot get out of, by the way. You are being evolved divinely, no matter how hard you kick and scream. Like my dog Cooper, who just does not like to go on walks. His sister, half-sister, his half-sister, Mia, loves it. So I'm like this. Here's her going, let's go, and him literally screaming like I'm killing him. He's like, ah, ah, ah. And I'm just like, sorry, the universe does what it does. And I am your universe at this particular moment. You know, so you can kick and scream or you can go willingly. But the thing is, you just got to stay awake. Are you willing, really willing to stay awake? So the unapproachable. What for you is unapproachable in your life? What have you decided is something, I don't want to, I just could never, I don't want to deal with that anymore. I don't want to know about that. We all know what it is. When we get in the quiet moment of our lives, we know what we are most fearful of. And that line, I want to know the unapproachable. I want to know that thing that scares the hell out of me, or scares the heaven out of me. I want to know that thing. I want to know what it is. I want to know why I feel this way about it. I want to know everything there is to know about it. And then she says, to lose my life and find the peace of letting go, I want to be undone. So, I want to tell you a little story. I am not a man who is easily thrown. I don't get thrown. I have studied this science for such a long time now, I feel like forever, even though it's been since 1990, I think, 1990. So it's been a bit, 26 years. And so this science really helps me to stay grounded, to know who I am, to know what's going on, to always see the good, to always understand that it's always for my highest good. I know that. But I also recognized recently that this science has also caused me to perhaps not really feel some of the things that I probably was feeling because my mind took over and said, you got this, it's all good, you're okay. A song like this comes along and I recognize what's been happening to me. So this week has been very, very challenging. I have come undone this week. You know, we have sold the building all through escrow. I am out looking at buildings. I'm out looking at other spaces for us to create our incredible services on Sunday mornings. I'm looking at offices. Kevin's out of town producing a show. I've got these 2 dogs that do not let me sleep at night. I'm sleep deprived. I might as well have birthed these things. Because I now know how mothers feel in the mornings. I mean, I don't know how you all do it when you have babies, when they cry every 2 hours. So I was literally coming undone. There was a moment where someone called on the phone and asked me a question. I went, I have no idea. I can't answer it. And it was my friend, well, I won't tell you who it was. And she was like, are you okay? I said, do I sound okay? She was like, wow, this just doesn't sound like you. I said, call back. I'll see how I feel later. And really, I got off the phone and I went, I am losing it. I really was. So what do you do? What do you do when you're coming undone? What do you do? Well, we're taught to treat. Treat and move your feet. So I did. I went for a walk on my feet. And I just started to ask myself some questions. And when I got back to my backyard, I grabbed the Science of Mind textbook. And I said, I'm just going to grab a page and I'm going to read something. Because Ernest has always, always helped me in these moments. I grabbed it and I read the whole page, and here's one of the things that was on the page. When one separates himself from the divine force, he becomes an isolated spark. And I was like, really? So that's what I'm doing. I'm isolating myself from my divine source, and I've become this isolated spark, walking around my neighborhood like I'm about to lose my mind. Oh, and I might add this. I hadn't showered in 2 days. And my hair looked like Annie. Curls, and it was like, my neighbor from across the street came over and went, do you need some help with the puppies? I was like, no, I'm really good. It was unbelievable. And when I told Nora that I hadn't showered in 2 days, she was like, who are you? I said, I know. If I don't have a manicure in 2 weeks, I freak. So, when one separates himself from the divine fire, he becomes an isolated spark. So that was my week. But then when the weekend came, some things happened. I kept listening to Heather's song. And I kept understanding that whatever was being undone in me was really for my higher good. And I had those two choices. You can keep fighting it, or how about if you let it go and let it rip? The understanding of being undone. So when the weekend came and my children came to the house, it was a lot different. And not because they did a lot of things to help this situation. But they were there. But the next morning, Nora ran off to do something, and then Will was there, and he and I made this beautiful brunch. And I was cooking in the kitchen, and there was one of the dogs, Mia, in the backyard, throwing a ball and running after it. And Cooper trying to get it, and I'm watching them and I'm cooking. And then Will's sitting there reading a history book, which was like, really? On a Saturday? And we started talking about other things, and the moment was so rich, so full, I was like, oh, I see, okay. I'm creating a whole different life here, a whole different world here. I'm only here because I have to be here this Saturday morning, because I have to be here with the dogs right now. So the universe has actually conspired to make me settle down, slow down, and put your attention someplace else, James, on these two beautiful, perfect beings that actually you are their universe at this particular moment until they find a ball. At night, and then Will and I took the dogs for a walk, and it was so beautiful. And then at night, Will had to go out, and Nora and I cooked dinner. And again, I stayed home because I wanted to be there for these puppies. And we had this most beautiful dinner. And then we took the dogs for a walk. And then I was working on my computer, and Cooper, who's just crazy, he's the one that I looked at a picture of and went, just not that one, any other one. Yeah, but you know, what's yours is yours, isn't it? So I'm sitting there at the computer working on this, and he literally, I don't know how he managed to climb up into my lap, because he's not a small dog, and just laid there. And I'm typing, and then this shaft of light came through, and the backyard looked gorgeous, and Mia kind of was laying, looking at me, holding him, and I was like, I was so loved in that moment. I was so full in that moment. And yet, I understood I was still undone. But I was conscious of it. I was aware of it. I was letting it. And I just looked down at this little guy, and I just was like, go ahead, slay me. Just slay me. And he looks up with these green, blue eyes, and I'm like, oh my God. There's the next 15 years of my life. 16 years of my life. So, this morning, as I was doing my, I wake up, feed the dog, take him for a walk, come back, work on my talk. I was sitting outside because they don't let me sit inside if they're outside. I was sitting at the table, and it really was a glorious morning, beautiful morning. And this little voice inside of me said, you teach that your life is unfolding perfectly. And even in CPR, when you get to the point of that day when you were on the treadmill, and you said, my life is unfolding perfectly, and then a voice said to you, then let it. I was like, wow, so that's what it is. My life is unfolding perfectly, so let it. Let yourself get undone. Let yourself be sloppy. Let yourself have a bad hair day. Shocking, but true. Let yourself just be who you are being in that moment. Let the universe live you. Let the universe take you. Because you know what? I have been a control freak way in the past. And I know that when I try to control too much, I am losing so much. And when I let go but stay conscious, remember that, that's the caveat. Stay awake, stay conscious. I can let go, but that doesn't mean I let go and let something take me and take control of me. It doesn't take control of you. It moves through you, spirit, love, passion, creativity. It lives through you. And as it lives through you, if you're conscious of it, knowing you are it, now you can direct it. And sometimes you can let go and let it rip through you and allow you to let it do what it does. So, you're going to love this, Ellen. So, Dr. Ellen, Reverend Dr. Ellen. So, Ellen said the word surrender, which is going to be our theme for September. And as soon as she said it, because she said it's the natural progression from letting it go, you've got to surrender. And I'd already come to that conclusion this week. Surrender, Dorothy. It's all yours. So, this whole concept of surrender and this whole concept of letting it go, the most important thing I want you to walk away with today is letting go, surrendering, letting it rip, all of that stuff, everything that we do, everything that we consciously intend for ourselves. What trumps all of it is that you are always, always at choice. You are at choice to stay awake, stay conscious, pay attention, allow it, but pay attention. Because you may need to redirect it for a bit. You may need to shift it. You may need to decide, well, maybe this isn't exactly what I had in mind. There is something living you. It's you. And when we get one with it, life changes dramatically. Marianne Williamson said this: something amazing happens when we surrender and just love. Something amazing happens when we surrender and just love. We melt into another world, a realm of power that is already within us. The world changes when we change. The world softens when we soften. The world loves us when we choose to love the world. This month has been an amazing month for me. I made an intention back in February that this building would be sold by the end of the summer. It's already sold, done, gone. We get to stay here for a couple of months. I also made an intention that my life needed to change and shift. I didn't know it meant 2 puppies, but I'm grateful. I also made an intention that I wanted to play, as Rick Tamlin would say, a much bigger game in life. And that ripping this building out from under me was a very smart thing to do. Because I need to be free to literally fly. All of us do. And there may be something in your life that you need to rip out from underneath you. There may be something or someone in your life that you need to separate yourself from in order to let yourself literally be lived by this thing bigger than anyone could imagine. And I would urge you, just let it rip. Just do it. Allow yourself the gift of being bigger than your present game that you're playing. Allow yourself the gift of knowing yourself in a bigger way, in a higher consciousness, in a much fuller capacity. You are worth so much more than what life is showing you right now. Because right now, life is showing you what you've told it to show you. Life is only bringing you what you have been equal to up to this point. This whole concept of being undone is letting something inside of you stop conforming to what you've been saying it should be. And allow that thing in you that is so big, so massive, so passionate, so creative, so successful, so vibrant, so healthy, so rich, so prosperous. I could go on forever here. That thing inside of you, allowing that, let that create the world you want to live in. Let that create the person you are in that world. And then, most importantly, stay conscious. Be consciously awake and aware. Be aware of everything along the way. Be present. Stay present. Know what you're feeling. Feel it. Know how it makes you think. Think it. Know what you believe, and then put that belief to work for you. Believe it. Because here's what I know, absolutely know. I know that I am this very power. And that when I isolate myself as that spark, there's just this little spark looking for something to ignite it. And I am tired of being that little spark looking for something to ignite it and not knowing that the thing that ignites it is right here. So it's time to be your own igniter, stop being the little spark, come back to the fire, and then let the fire fuel you and live you. Let the fire make you undone. Namaste. Thank you.